Hey everyone, and welcome to The Explainer. Today we're talking about something that's a total game changer for anyone serious about their cloud career. We're zeroing in on the AWS Certified DevOps Engineer Professional exam. If you're ready to make a major leap, you've come to the right place.
I love this because it's exactly the right mindset. Becoming a cloud superstar isn't just a fantasy. It's about having a solid plan and, just as importantly, the right tools to get you there. So let's break down a huge piece of that puzzle.
All right, so let's get into it. What exactly is this certification? And why do we keep calling it a launchpad? What does that even mean for you and your career?
Okay, right off the bat, you can tell this is no entry-level cert. This is the big leagues. It's basically a stamp that says, yep, this person knows how to build and manage the entire lifecycle of an application on AWS. We're talking continuous delivery, automation, and building stuff that is resilient, that doesn't just fall over when things get tough. That is exactly what the best companies are looking for right now.
So why should you really care about this one in particular? Well, for starters, the money is good. It's consistently one of the highest paying certifications out there, but it's so much more than that. It puts you at the heart of critical areas like cybersecurity. It gives you instant credibility, not just with your boss, but with your teammates and customers. And let's face it, the demand for skilled DevOps pros isn't going away anytime soon. It's a direct investment in your future.
Now, with any great reward comes a pretty significant challenge. And let's be real. This exam is tough. It is notoriously difficult, and honestly, that's by design. So let's get honest about what you're really up against.
AWS themselves tell you what you need to know. They say the ideal person has at least 2 years of hands-on experience. See, this isn't about memorizing a bunch of facts from a book. It's about deep, practical, in-the-trenches knowledge of how to operate and manage real AWS environments when things get complicated.
And that right there is the million-dollar question, isn't it? You can read all the documentation you want, but how do you really know if you're ready for those super tricky scenario-based questions? The ones where there are like 3 correct answers, but you have to pick the most efficient one. How do you prepare for that?
Well, this is where having the right kind of practice becomes your secret weapon. We're not talking about brain dumps or shortcuts. We're talking about smart, focused practice that feels exactly like the real exam.
So let's actually pull back the curtain and look under the hood of the practice materials from Cloud Certification Store. I want to show you how this actually works.
Okay, here is a perfect example. This is a classic DevOps problem. You need to get unit tests into a code pipeline, and you need reports that people can actually see. You're given a few options: Code Guru, Code Build, Code Artifact, S3. They all sound plausible, right? So which one is it?
And this is where the magic really happens. It's not enough to know the right answer. You have to know why it's the right answer. So here, Code Build is the purpose-built, most integrated tool for the job. But just as important, you have to know why the other answers are wrong. Code Guru? That's for static analysis, a different thing entirely. Code Artifact? That's for managing packages. And S3? Well, sure, you could probably rig something up with S3, but it's clunky. It doesn't have the clean native integration you get with Code Build's report groups. That deep understanding is literally the difference between passing and failing.
Okay, so let's zoom out a bit. We've looked at one question, but how does that fit into a whole prep system? Because it's not about doing a bunch of random questions. It's about having a real, structured plan to make sure you're ready.
And that is such a critical point. The best prep materials don't just throw questions at you and wish you luck. They give you an actual framework for your final review, something that builds your confidence methodically. Think of this as your final mission checklist. It breaks the exam down into its core pillars. First, you master automation and CI/CD. Then, you lock down your infrastructure as code skills. Next, you ace monitoring and incident response. And finally, you nail security and compliance. When you focus on these pillars, there are no surprises on exam day. And then you can use a tool like this to be brutally honest with yourself. Rate your confidence in each area, 1 to 5. Maybe you are a solid 5 in CI/CD, which is awesome. But what if you're only a 2 in incident response? This simple scorecard tells you exactly where you need to spend your precious study time. No more guessing.
So let's put it all together. It's a tough exam. You know what it takes to pass, and you've seen what a top-notch prep system looks like.
So what does that full package really give you?
How about a question bank of over 800 questions? This isn't just a handful of examples. This is a massive library covering pretty much every scenario you could imagine. Then there's this number, 90%. That's the percentage of questions that people who bought these materials and just took the exam said match what they saw on the real test.
And the price for all of this, for the huge question bank, the detailed explanations, the whole system, is less than $10. For a certification that can add thousands to your salary, that's kind of wild.
Look, that 90% figure isn't just some number pulled out of thin air. It comes straight from the community, from the actual writers who took the test and from reviewers who used these materials to pass. That's the best kind of proof you can possibly get.
So I'll just leave you with this one question to think about. When you consider the doors this cert can open, the skills it proves you have, and the confidence you'll gain, what's a better, smarter, or more impactful investment you can make in your career right now?
If you're ready to make that leap, go grab your secret weapon. Head over to cloudcertificationstore.com and get everything you need to crush this exam. Thanks so much for joining me on The Explainer.